All right, guys, here we are. We are in the all-new 2022 Heartland Mallard Pathfinder P17QBH. Now, there's definitely a lot of things to love about this one, right? And like I talked about, one of the biggest things is lightweight. It's this segment that is just sweeping the country because so many people want to get into RVing, but they don't want to have to upgrade into a different tow vehicle. You know, if you have a mid-size SUV, you have that 5,000-pound tow rating, you can tow this one. It comes in at just over 3,500 pounds dry. So that gives you plenty of room to be able to pack and still be able to tow it effectively. And this one is a bunk model, so it lets you get out, get the whole family camping, really start to get that camping experience and learn what it is all about. So when we talk about RVs, there's a couple big important things that come into play. And one of them is going to be floor plan. Another one is going to be design, right? The way it looks, the way it feels. And I think they did a really good job in here with the colors. You know, I like the valances. This is something I haven't really seen before, but they kind of blended almost like a white wood and fabric into one. Really kind of gives it something different we haven't seen. Nice modern pulls on here too. So with this layout, you'll have your bed space right up front. You can see that. And so, you know, they have windows on both sides for cross ventilation. That's going to be a big one if you plan on doing some boondocking, which is kind of what this one's built for. When we go outside, we'll see it's lifted a little bit, has bigger tires, really built to be able to get outdoors and go on some of those trails or paths that you may not have thought possible, right? And so whether you are towing up behind an SUV or maybe you're towing it behind that sanctuary that we saw yesterday, if you've been watching, right? That Class B. With this weight, it can be towed behind a lot of Class Bs, and it gives you that extra sleeping capacity that oftentimes you won't get. So windows on both sides, shelf across the top, so you get a little bit of extra storage. And I mentioned this just a bit ago, Trish, Sean, you get a 12-volt TV. So you can see that right there it is, 12 volt plugged in, good to go. And what that actually allows is, again, you don't have to have shore power or a generator to run it, right? You can be out in the middle of nowhere and it will still run off your batteries. And that's something that you oftentimes do not get. Usually with your RV, your AC and your TV or your electrical outlets in general, right, just aren't gonna work. Now this one does have an inverter, so it inverts some of those outlets, plus you get the 12-volt TV. So it's just rocking. I think they did an awesome job. So if we take a look right over here, you will see the dinette. So with the dinette itself, this one's really kind of built for two, right? So you can see that, you know, it does have plenty of space. So if you want to sit here and play a game of euchre, if you're from Michigan, you know euchre. I love euchre. If you ever want to play, let me know. But if you want to play a game of euchre or Uno, or just sit here and drink some M&M tea, this is the space to do it, right? It does drop down into a smaller bed if you do need a little bit of extra sleeping space, but we'll see in a minute that there are bunks. And I love the size of the window here too. It really lets in some natural light, gives you a great view out to the campsite, or if you have lakefront or oceanfront, whatever it may be, you're able to enjoy that view here. Plus plenty of light that comes in and USB port there too. You do have your standard 110 over here, but the USB port is great because again, if you're running off 12 volt, that will allow you to be good to go. Couple storage cubbies up there. And I kind of like the way that, if you can see it, right, the cabinetry is kind of angled down and back. It gives it a little more dimension than what we're used to seeing. And I do like that. And if we open this up, you can see, again, there is plenty of storage space in there. And I like the modern and sleek pulls that they have on here. Another thing that I did want to touch on that I didn't earlier, but underneath the bed here, take a look at the storage, right? You get some good additional storage, especially in these larger bottom drawers. Very easy to access. You don't have to worry about, you know, like lifting up the mattress or anything to get into that storage, which a lot of times in a smaller RV like this, you will have to do that, but this makes it simple. Then if we see the kitchen, I really like the sink. So it is a circular bowl, but what you'll notice is how deep this is. And again, this is very rare. A lot of times, you know, it'll be a much smaller sink. It'll be like a square, shallow bowl. This is a nice deep one. I also like the color. It's almost like a gunmetal. So that's not going to, you know, dirty up or stain nearly as easily as a lot of the other sinks in smaller RVs. You get a thermoformed countertop, which is an upgrade over a T-mold, nice and lightweight. It'll be lighter than a true solid surface, but it has, you know, the qualities of helping to keep water out because, you don't have the tea mold peeling off, and it'll look nicer for longer too. You'll see the 2-burner recessed cooktop with the glass cover on there. Big window as well, again, to let in that natural light. Up top is your hood with a light and a fan, and again, more storage. Now, if you come right over to the side with me a second here, Fritz, I do want to show everyone this. So you'll see right here is your entertainment system. So, if you want to listen to radio or anything, this lets you do it. It is Bluetooth capable. Also has an HDMI port right here if you need to plug in any kind of auxiliary equipment, a USB port there as well. And if we drop down, there's a lot of things right here that are really important that I want to talk to people about. Probably the most important in my mind is this guy, a bottle opener. Just kidding. It's not important at all, but I do love that it's there, right? It is something that would definitely see a lot of use as I'm camping, but it's just kind of a fun little feature. But as we come down, this little guy right here, and that is your water heater, or rather your tank heater switch, right? So you have tank heaters on this one, so you can flip the switch. That way, if you are doing some colder weather camping, you'll be good to go. You'll also see again some of the the other switches here as far as water heater. Your control panel is going to be right there, your awning, and then your battery disconnect too. So if you want to kill all power to the coach, you can just push that guy in, and you're good to go. And then for storage underneath the kitchen, we'll open this guy up, kind of take a look over here too, right? Plenty of storage underneath. Again, those nice sleek pulls that they have. You will see the microwave up top. You have the gas absorption fridge, which essentially means that it's a propane and electric fridge, so it runs on both. So if you want, just to have it run on propane, you can absolutely do that. And then, of course, I mentioned this one is a bunk model. So you have the bunks right over here, 275-pound weight capacity on there. I don't think that I have exceeded that yet. So I don't know. After all the M&Ms I ate, who knows these days. But as you can see, at 6 foot tall, I can lay down here, no problem. I am good to go. And same thing with the top bunk. You will see that you have light as well. So that, if you need to see at night, you're able to do that. And when you go outside, you will notice the door. And that's really cool because this does flip up, which gives you a huge storage area for bikes, totes, whatever else you want to bring, grills, right? Some of those larger items that you normally can't fit in a pass-through, you'll be able to fit back here and transport with you. Plus, you have the grab handle right there. I think that's a nice addition. Most manufacturers don't put that in. And this top bunk is really hard to access. But this does give you kind of what you need to be able to hop up in there. If we take a look at the bathroom, this is another one. So realistically, right, the bathroom, it's a little small, but here is the thing. In a travel trailer this size, right, we're under 21.5 foot. We're right around 3,500 pounds dry. Normally, you don't get a sink in the bathroom. When it's this size trailer, you'll have a shower and you'll have a toilet, and then you have to wash your hands out in the kitchen sink, which is not my favorite thing ever. I know some people don't care, and it's not a huge deal, but there's something about having a sink in the bathroom that I really like. So even though you don't get quite as much leg space or shoulder space on the toilet, you do get the sink so you're able to wash your hands, storage underneath. You have a nice medicine cabinet. It's actually framed out in wood. It's not just like a plastic one. As for the shower, again, it's 6 foot tall. I can stand in here. You could probably be 6'1" and still be able to stand underneath that the skylight there and still have enough room without having to duck down, which is pretty great. So, I do like, again, that they were able to put a sink in here. Now, a lot of great features inside, right? But when we talk about the Pathfinder, there are a lot of things outside that I really want to hit on too, because, again, I think they did a fantastic job. And part of that is going to be the construction, right? Well, it's not going to shut. There's a cable there. Part of it is going to be the construction, and that's going to be the Asdel. So behind this fiberglass skin, normally you would have a Luan structure, which is a wood, right? It's going to be a plywood. And the issue with Luan, and they've used it for years in the RV industry, and it works well until it gets wet. Once you get water on Luan, what'll happen is you'll start to get delamination, which is all the bubbles that you see. If you've ever seen a fiberglass unit and it just has all the big bubbles, right? That's not something you want to happen to your unit. So with Asdel, it's a composite material that won't absorb moisture, so almost completely eliminates the chance for delamination. It's also lighter weight, which is what helps to get down to that 3,500 pound area dry. And it doesn't have the off-gassing that Luan can often have. So that's going to be a big win. For storage, Open this guy up. It is a slam latch, by the way, with a magnetic catch. And if we take a look, you can see how big the storage area is here, which is awesome for such a small unit. You'll see on the far side is that 1200 watt inverter we talked about. So it's going to invert some of those outlets for you, as well as the solar charge controller, because as I mentioned, there is a 110 watt solar panel right up top. LED light, and you'll also see this one is prepped for tire pressure monitoring system if you so choose to have that one installed. Now, we'll go to the back and you'll see it again, but right up here on the frame, you also have a spot if you travel with animals, right, where you can tie a leash up nice and easily. I think that's a pretty cool feature. Power tongue jack on there makes it a lot easier to hook up and disconnect from your tow vehicle too. And coming back a little bit, we'll see the big off-road tires, 15-inch tires on there, absolutely gorgeous. And underneath here, right, there is metal. Now, why is that important? Well, it's going to be a couple different reasons. One is if you have a blowout, it's going to help protect that underbelly, okay? So that way, you know, your tire's not going to smash up in there and do a bunch of damage. The other thing that's going to help is if it starts throwing rocks, especially if you're going off-road, if that's just a Darko underwrap, it's going to put a hole in there. Next time it rains, you're going to throw a bunch of water up in there, and now you're going to start getting a soft floor. With that metal being underneath there, it's going to help prevent that, so that way your unit will last you for a long period of time. You'll see right there is TV hookup, so if you do want TV outside, nice and easy to hook that guy up. And as we come around to the back, again, I mentioned there's a spot to hook up leash for the pets, and there that is. This is another thing I love. You get, if your spare tire is a full-size off-road tire, just like the rest. I love when manufacturers do that. You will also see black tank flush, which is not very common on smaller units. You have a hitch right down below, or a receiver rather, that can carry 300 pounds. If you have a bike rack or anything you want to slide in there, you're good to go. And as I mentioned, you get this big storage area. This lifts up just like so. Just like that, and then you can see how big that storage area is. Folks, if you're looking for a lightweight travel trailer, the Mallard Pathfinder absolutely knocks it out of the park.